Quran.
All of this collectively is the Quran, basically. All of this collectively, including the different qira'ah.
Okay, is the Hafs letter for letter, dot for dot, exactly the same as the Wash?
Is King James Bible?
Don't divide. You see, don't divide to the Bible.
How
How do you know they got the wrong meaning though?
Of course, you'll get the wrong meaning.
Okay, so let me get you
Many
busted.
things will-
In the Quran, on the Day of Judgment, Jesus is going to speak to Allah. We see Jesus speaking in the Quran.
Yeah.
Did Jesus speak Arabic?
Are you saying that Uthman completely changed the Quran? Okay.
In a nutshell, let me just say yes, he did.
Okay.
He didn't.
Prove it.
Now. So if every Quran is the same, how come he had 116 if they were all memorized the same?
No.
So what, now you're comparing.
Right.
No, this is a shubha.
But why did he believe it was? Why did he put it in his Quran?
There's a good explanation for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I remember this was a long time ago.
Right, exactly.
Which companion?
Wait,
Which companion?
Ibn
Abdullah
Masud.
ibn
Right.
Masud.
Now, Abdullah ibn Masud's codex was different from the Uthmanic
Correct,
text.
and he didn't burn his Quran.
Right, so this is
So
my
it
point.
stayed
He
with him.
said
No.
that they say all the verses are the same.
Yeah.
There's no changes. But if his was different, it means there was a big differences between his, because he was very reluctant to give up his, because he had heard the recitation from the Prophet.
He heard around more than 70 surahs from the Prophet directly.
Exactly. So now what happens is, now when Uthman made one Quran, Muslims today believe that there's only one Quran without variation. They're not even aware of Ibn Masud's codex, for example.
Itself,
Yeah, but it doesn't
originally,
mean
when
that
it
it was-
came down, when it was revealed,
Right.
it came down in different, what do you call it?
Recitation.
Recitation,
Right.
qira'at.
Yeah.
Right.
So Uthman, one of the reasons that he wanted to uniform
Right.
the Quran into one mushaf or a couple of mushafs.
No,
is-
one.
Is to preserve these
Right.
and to uniform it.
So where did the other 6 go? Because if he made
He
one
sent-
mushaf,
he
where
sent
did this?
it out. He sent it out.
If there were 7 recitations,
Yeah.
and he made one mushaf,
Yes.
that was written in the Quraysh dialect. What happened to the other?
No, there aren't. In fact, all of the 7, some argue are 10, they're still memorized today.
Wait. So if there's 7, how can there be 10?
10, the 3 others
Right.
are not really, what do you call it? Mujma' alayha. I don't know how to translate it.
Agreed.
On
So
it,
are they?
or
So are you
they're-
saying?
So we have
Right.
different types of chains.
Right, so
we
are
have,
you
we
saying-
have a sahih chain?
Right.
That's the strongest chain.
Right.
We have a da'if.
Right.
That
Yes.
we're not very.
Right.
Yeah,
So are you saying there's Muslims out there
Yeah.
that believe the 3 are from God when they're not from God? Because either they
No,
are
we're
from
not,
God.
We're not.
Because
we're not saying that you
Becau-
can't. So what we do is
Right.
you can't really use them in prayer.
Right.
These other 3.
So why
or
is there a
the other.
dispute? Yeah, but why is there a dispute? Because some people believe that they are from God. That's why there's a.
same-
That's why
the
they
same-
believe it's either 7
The
or
same
10.
applies to Sunnah. The same applies to Hadith.
Right.
There are sayings of the Prophet that aren't authentic.
Right.
But that's the things that
That's
you
the
haven't
thing.
tried to say, because I know that you're very happy to find some
Exactly.
hadiths.
No,
Exactly.
But listen, I know you're very happy with it
I-
to find some hadiths like that, because it gives you some materials to go forward.
Hmm.
But I'm not using the apocryphal against you.
Right.
I could do, but I'm not doing it.
but we're talking about preservation and how we got to the Quran that we have today.
Mate,
and
I can speak about what the Ibn says.
Yeah, but many
and then
Muslims.
you'd-
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Many Muslims, because what they will say is every Quran is letter for letter, haraka for haraka, exactly the same, which is a lie. Because even if you have the different readings, the readings are not letter for letter, haraka for haraka, exactly
Yeah,
the
but
same.
this has been agreed. Listen, even if that's
How?
the case, listen.
Each qira'ah is letter by letter, haraka by haraka, the same.
Listen,
Hafs
listen,
and
listen,
Asim
listen.
is letter by letter,
Even
haraka
if
by
that's
haraka,
the
And
case-
is it the same as the Duri or the Wash?
Warsh is a different qira'ah now.
Right.
You can't compare.
Exactly.
It's a-
But that's what I'm saying. Is the Duri a
All
Quran?
of this collectively is the Quran, basically. All of this collectively, including the different qira'ah.
Okay, is the Hafs letter for letter, dot for dot, exactly the same as the Wash?
Is King James Bible?
Don't
exactly
divide. You see, don't divide to the Bible. I didn't make that claim.
no,
I'm
no,
asking
no,
you.
Listen,
I didn't make the claim
listen,
about
listen,
King
listen,
James.
listen.
I'm just asking.
How can you compare?
I said to you, Muslims claim every single version of the Quran is letter for letter, haraka for haraka,
same.
exactly the same.
The same.
So I
agree.
asked you, is the Hafs Quran letter for
You're
letter.
comparing two different qira'ahs. How can they be the same?
Exactly.
If they are-
But
if they have
my
already-
point is,
But you don't
Mus-
understand. This has been announced that way.
No,
If we say
no,
from the beginning there's
no,
different qira'at,
not every Muslim has knows that. That's what my point
If we
is.
announce that there's different qira'at, then
Yeah.
that's it. We're talking.
Exactly.
Okay,
Listen,
right.
we're talking about the
Now,
preservation from that day
because he
until
knows,
now, and
I'm going to
that's
ask you a more pressing question.
Yeah.
You said there's karat.
Qira'at, yeah.
What is the aruf? Haruf?
I think it's just really.
Yeah, haruf.
Listen,
Letters.
Right.
Letters.
So,
Letters.
so
أنزل القرآن على سبعة أحرف. This is one of the
okay.
narrations.
So now you're saying Qurans have different letters and
The
recitations.
translation of letters is not.
So how can every Quran even be the same if their letters are different?
No, it's letter is the Arabic word. It's not
Yes.
the exact translation of the word into English. It's not actually.
Yeah, but in
it's
Arabic
you-
it's
you
not
can-
exactly the same.
No, it is the same. So Hafs and Asim compared to if I memorize Quran, if I memorize Quran,
I'll
Hafs
come back
and
to that.
I
Asim,
wanted to
and
talk
my
about
brother-
theology. I
Yeah,
didn't want to talk about this.
exactly.
No, but this is preservation.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the thing is,
Right.
you can't prove.
Yes.
You're just giving some hadith that we are not even sure is
So-
sahih.
so if
You're
you
taking
quiz us-
some. Listen, we're taking
Okay.
some apocryph,
Right.
which are single. Well, actually, I say to you,
Right.
the transmission we have Uthman,
Right.
okay, but you have to prove. You
Yes.
have to prove
Right.
that it completely changed the Quran,
Yeah.
or remove verse,
And
which
you
you
re-
cannot.
I gave you a verse,
you
and you
realize-
said it was
Yeah.
abrogated.
You
The verse
realize-
about the Adam and the valleys.
Do you
I
realize
see-
that there were hundreds of thousands of companions at
Yes.
the time of Uthman?
Right.
Why did they keep quiet if he changed the Quran?
Because he was the caliphate and they have to listen to him. Ibn Masud,
No,
wait.
no,
Did
we don't
Ibn
have-
Masud listen to him?
So he did. You actually have evidence. That evidence goes
you know-
against you.
Go on. What did
This-
Ibn Masud, what happened with Ibn
This
Masud?
evidence goes against you. So were there other Ibn Mas'uds as you claimed? There were.
Yes, there were.
Who?
Oh, okay, let me.
Out of the hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Out of
Just
the
to let
hundreds
you know,
of
just to let you
thousands.
know historically as well.
Right. I'll
Just to
give
let you
you
know,
the
just to let
evidence.
you know historically as well.
Yes.
You have to know that by the time of Uthman ibn Affan, the Islamic Empire had already spread out
Exactly.
in North Africa, where actually I'm from. So I'm saying to you,
Mm-hmm.
if we were meant to see, and then eventually after the Umayyad, during the Umayyad time,
Mm-hmm.
there was a kind of conflict. They had different wars or whatever. But if there was different version of the Quran,
Right.
you would find as well the Shia having different versions of
Yeah.
the Quran. There was
Don't-
Shiism. Sorry,
The Shia,
there was Shiism.
Right.
There was Shiism.
the Shias of today? Or are you saying they're different Shias?
I'm saying the people. Okay, the people that were back in the days. There
Right.
was as well group like which were opposed
Right.
politically. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was different Quran or different
Right.
recitation,
Right.
even by this time,
Yes.
this would have been still claimed.
But this is the thing, the
Exactly,
Shias of today do not accept the six of the readings. They only say there was one qira of there's one qira. They say there's only one reading, according to the Shias.
Yeah, but
That's why I was asking you
Listen,
specifically. So the Sunnis
But
say
the
there was
Quran they
different.
have- but the Quran
Yeah.
they have is the same as we
Yeah,
have.
but this
now.
is
exactly.
no. But here's the
Now,
problem.
I will ask you a
No, but let me
question.
just finish because you interjected what I was saying. The problem is, according to the Sunni hadiths, which Shias reject, they do not accept the hadith about the 7 recitations. So they
Right.
will argue that there was one
Let's-
to follow. So as someone who's not Muslim, why should I accept your hadith when the Shias are
Don't-
saying there's
Listen,
only
listen,
one
listen,
Quran?
listen.
Don't
Listen.
But that
accept
would
it.
be
No,
evidence
so-
that
so-
there's differences.
No. So
Like I
let's-
said to you, the
Go ahead.
transmission.
And then I'll let you
There's
respond.
people in the whole Muslim empire that are learning the Quran
Right.
heart by heart. Even by the time of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf Thaqafi,
Right.
which was like a long time ago next to the companions, there were still people learning the Quran by heart in the whole Muslim empire. They were teaching it, yeah?
Right.
This is true, and we have Islamic empire. Even in Morocco, by the time of like the Salaf, which maybe 100 years after the Prophet ﷺ, there was the first Islamic school, which it was in Fes.
Right.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Qayrawan.
Qayrawan. In all this country, they were learning the Quran. They're teaching the Quran heart by heart. Now, I would like to understand your view. Are you saying that Uthman completely changed the Quran?
I'm saying Uthman compiled what was around. In a nutshell, let me just say yes, he did.
Okay.
He didn't.
Prove it.
Now,
Prove it.
I'll explain.
Prove
That's
it.
fine. So now, when he changed it, it doesn't mean that he change the words, letters, or anything by
What did they
himself.
change?
It means he left out verses, and that's why, for example, I appealed to Ibn Masud's codex. There will be verses in Ibn Masud's codex which are not in the Quran that you have today, and I'll find the evidence. I always bring evidence because it's the speaker's corner.
Of the exact verses.
Yes.
في خلص قرأ بالناس قرأ بالفلاح لأنه قرأ.
Let me just. I always bring the evidence.
No,
Not even the chapters. We'll go to the specific.
في خلص.
ها؟
إنه قرأ بالناس قرأ بالفلاح.
إيه لا هو كان عنده 116.
He left out, wasn't it?
لا هو كان عنده 116 سورة وبينما الصحابة الثانيين 114 بس بعدين خلاص هو اقتنع في النهاية.
No عربي يا أخي.
ها؟
I don't speak Arabic.
He then agreed يعني
Somali.
with the rest he agreed with the rest of the companions in the end.
And also, you know when he keeps saying the Quran very different qira'ats and ahrus, in the deen we do accept that the Quran is a multifaceted tradition, right?
So
as long as all the transmissions go back to the Prophet ﷺ, they all go under the Quran. That is the demarcations. So when you say that is the Quran, just because of different readings, they all are the Quran because they all fit into the
You do realize that
most of the standards.
Most of the Hafiz in the
Right.
that are
So
Muslims
now
aren't
this
Arabic
is
speakers
Tafsir
anyway.
al-Jalalain.
Yeah.
This is
Tafsir al-Jalalain, yeah.
Right. So in the story of Lut, so he talks about the variant. So he says, what's chapter 11, verse 81, Hud. So this is.
It's all shubuhat, brother. Yani instead of
So one variant says leave your wife, and the other variant says take your wife. And that is Islamic text, and that's a variant that you don't find today. And that's from your own scholars, Al-Jalalain. I can find plenty more.
Okay. You know, since we've been talking since that place,
Yeah.
we keep talking that even on the old manuscripts,
Yeah.
like the structure is completely the same,
But
except
respond
some voyels,
to that.
Some
Don't
voyels.
divert.
Okay,
Respond to
I
this.
will, but
Because
because
you
I
thought you
read
asked.
this, I realize that you're playing with these people looking at the camera.
Would you like to read it?
So I will read it.
Okay.
I swear I will.
Say whatever you want. I'm
So
going to
you're
listen, but
dishonest.
respond to
You're
this.
dishonest. So we said that even on the old manuscript, this is exactly the same, except some vowels, but the structure is exactly the same, and the meaning. So he says, except for your wife, reads illa imratuka, and then he said the other variants illa imrataka.
it's just
Which
a
is what?
haraka. It's just a haraka.
Yeah, but what is the meaning? Explain the meaning. Because why is he talking about the variant? See it? You can see
I
it.
saw it. I heard either with your wife
Right.
or let her accompany you,
Yep.
or she will be left behind.
Right. So now this is the
So
story.
even if-
Right. So
yeah.
this is the story of Lut.
But
And
in
it changes the story as either did Lot
Doesn't-
leave
it
her
doesn't-
behind.
It doesn't. If you read
Okay, go on.
the next verse.
Okay, go on.
Read the next verse. Can you open up the next verse? Because in the we know what
Yeah.
ended up with his wife.
Yes.
She killed. She
Right,
was died.
but
she
this
died,
is
I mean.
but this is exactly. But
Yeah.
this is the problem.
Even
This-
if she was left behind.
But you asked me
or-
for evidence of
Yeah.
things that were in the Quran that are not now. So I'm saying that verse
Yeah.
was in some Qurans which you will not find in
It's the
any
same
today.
verse.
That's
It's the
not
same
true.
verse.
Do you
It's
know
the
who
same-
did
it's the
Tafsir
same
al-Jalalain?
writing.
Who did Tafsir al-Jalalain?
There were two scholars.
No. Do you know Tafsir al-Jalalain from? No, there's not two scholars.
It was two people.
Okay. Do you know when has it been done?
It's probably like 500 years. It's more modern.
Okay. So you think they had a version? Look, it doesn't work
They're
like
Scho-
the Bible, mate.
You see,
It
I'm
doesn't
giving
work
you,
like
I'm
the
giving you
Bible.
scholars. Now you're saying when did they live?
No. It doesn't work like we're not talking about Eusebius.
This is
saying,
not.
"Oh,
You
my-"
see, you say I'm giving you your own Islamic scholar. I'm not giving you my input.
We said exactly the same
So
thing.
if I go to Al-Tabari and provide you evidence from Al-Tabari, who's one of your greatest
No,
scholars,
you
will
don't
you
understand. I'm not denying what
Right.
he said, but we said in terms of we say structure
What
or
does that mean?
pronunciations.
But that changes the meaning of
so
what happened
between
to her.
imra'atuka
And it's just a
and
haraka.
imra'ataka.
Yes.
Because you do
Do
realize
you
when
know-
when harakat was even.
Do you know to what level are you looking at
Right.
compared to the Bible? Bible, this is chapters. This is verses,
don't go
mate.
to the Bible.
think
We were
this
looking
is-
at the Quran.
No, let's-
you
let's-
said
because
one means
you want to bring it
she
to
was
the-
left behind.
Let's
the
me
other
open up, let me
meaning
open
means
up,
she went
mate.
with them. They're saying it's just the
No, I'll open up an old manuscript.
Yeah, but wait.
The old manuscript doesn't actually have the actual vowels, as you said.
Exactly. But what does the mean? Because remember, you have believe in variants. So he's shown you that there was a variant of a reading.
There
which,
isn't. If you write the ayahs, they're the same.
If you without the
exact
yes,
place,
I
so
know.
there
I'm
is
not
no
disagreeing,
variance.
but I'm saying when it comes to you have to when you read
you
it.
can consider it as one qira'ah
Yes,
and
but,
the other as
but this is
another.
the problem.
Yeah.
If you have a skeletal text, what you're appealing to.
Yeah.
If I send it to Morocco, if I send it to Saudi Arabia, without the dots, they're gonna have to read it. So when you put the dots in, that's how they read it, right?
Yeah.
So that means that's why you're saying, oh, it's just a dot, but that's the whole point. When the dots are put in, it came to different meanings of the text. Because if you send the blank text without the dots, Muslims will not be able to read the full text.
He didn't just send a black text.
That's why he's saying there's variants.
Wait.
That-
But between Imraha Tuka and
Wait.
Imraha
Let me just finish what I was saying. When you said Uthman did it without the text, without the dots.
I swear.
So when it was without the dots, it went to the nations without the dots. How did they read it?
They don't just receive the text by itself. He sends it with the hafiz.
Right.
He teaches them.
And you said there was different recitations.
There were, and
So
there
it-
still
how-
are.
so
There
that
still
means
are.
right,
Still
exactly. So therefore,
You do understand that we have different recitations
yes.
with different words,
But this is
not
what,
even vowels.
Yeah, but engage what I'm saying. I'm saying, so when you send out the skeletal text, you're saying there's someone that will read it, how to pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly.
You agree that there were different variants
Yeah.
of the way to read it.
Yeah.
So when you recite it, if you write it, you have to put the dots for the person to know how to pronounce the word.
Not necessarily, but sure.
Y-
Let's say. Okay.
So if they sent out Hafiz to one place
Yeah.
with one
With one
recitation
recitation.
and one to another place,
Yeah.
when they write it, they're going to put the dots in different places
Not
for
even
other
those.
people.
So what the Quran I memorize is different. My recitation, just understand this. My recitation
Right.
is different than the qira'ah that he recites in
Right.
from Morocco.
Yes.
Morocco
Yes.
is warsh, as you said.
Yes.
I'm Hafs.
Yes.
So,
But
so
when
we
you-
have even whole words that are different.
Yes.
But both of it is
Right.
Quran. Both are
But it's
preserved.
not. But
We do have changes.
That wasn't my.
We do have change.
That wasn't my point. Was that people say it was letter for letter, dot for dot, exactly the
Okay,
same.
if you compare warsh and warsh, it's dot for dot, letter for letter.
If I compare Hafs and Wash,
No, you can't compare Hafs and Warsh. How can you compare Hafs and Warsh?
because there's one Quran.
No, there's one Quran.
The problem you
both as a
cannot do
whole.
nothing.
Yeah.
Paperboy, I don't know your name. Paperboy, I don't know.
Okay.
Listen, you cannot do nothing if we
Nitpicker,
claim it
let's
from the
call it,
beginning.
nitpicker.
No, I'm just
But
saying.
hold on, Christians
listen,
have claimed most of this stuff that you're saying from the beginning. If you read the early church fathers, they talk about variants in the Bible because they used to write out the scripts.
No.
The reason why you know John 8 is missing is also you can find it in the church fathers. So what I'm trying to say is whatever you're trying to apply to the
Mate,
Bible,
no,
when I apply it back to the Quran, you reject it.
You can't, mate. You can't come up
Anyway,
and you can't come up and say.
we need to
Let
wrap
me
up
just
anyway.
Speak
So
to your
yeah,
telespectators.
because I've been here talking to him for 2 hours.
Listen.
All right.
You can't come up and start debating
Right.
the difference between Imra'atuka and
I can give you even
Imra'ataka,
more than that.
referring to his wife,
Right.
but in different sense, and coming and talking about some verse that has been omitted, or Luke himself saying that I'm just an historian who gathers witnesses, like oral transmissions of witnesses,
Right.
which I find normal. But then you do believe that he's guided by God, and this is where the claim is.
Right.
I think you can't put it at the same level.
What
Definitely
is
not.
your issue with Luke?
I said to you, you can believe in some of the things, but you can't be 100% what he's saying, because he says he's just a historian. He just gathered transmission, oral transmission from witnesses.
Right.
One of
And
the
that's
biggest issues.
So-
it's not
so
even
here's
the
the
same-
problem- the problem is-
one of the biggest issues. It's not even the
So-
same
some of-
language as
Right.
was originally transpired.
Is that relevant?
How can it not be?
Okay. In the
some of what
Quran,
he's-
If I
okay.
just translated the word letter and
Right.
harf as the brother said,
Right.
and we got the wrong meaning.
Okay.
How can
How do you know they got the wrong meaning though?
Of course, you'll get the wrong meaning.
Okay, so let me get you
Many
busted.
things will-
In
yeah.
the Quran, Jesus
And-
speaks
and
to
it's not
in
even
the
the wrong
Quran.
meaning.
Switch always
In the
to the Quran. Let's
Quran,
talk about
no,
the Bible,
because
because this is
I'm
what we are
exposing the
doing.
hypocrisy. In the Quran, on the Day of Judgment, for example, Jesus is going to speak to Allah. We see Jesus speaking in the Quran.
Yeah.
Did Jesus speak Arabic?
God knows. I don't know the answer for
The
that.
historical Jesus
Okay,
No,
speak
no, no.
Aramaic.
would have spoke
No.
right.
No.
So the Quran translates from the Aramaic to the Arabic, but he's happy that Allah can translate what Jesus would have
Do you
spoken.
understand from our
I do,
perspective
but I'm
who is speaking in the Quran? Who is
It's
speaking?
Allah.
Exactly.
But so Allah can translate what
Exactly,
Jesus.
'cause-
But so
exactly.
you said, but there can be a mistake. So I said, how do you know there was a mistake?
No. I
Because
didn't
you're
say
saying in
that.
the Bible.
I didn't say
you
that.
didn't
So
say
I
that.
didn't
You
say
didn't say
that.
Okay,
I
what
didn't say that.
clarify what
say
you
that.
said.
Our perspective and
Right.
our
Right.
perspective is
Yeah.
basically Quran was revealed in Arabic
Right.
and it still is. Most of the people who memorize Quran
Yeah,
are non-Arabic
but that's not my
speakers.
point. My point was when Jesus speaks in the Quran, was Jesus originally speaking Arabic?
God knows, we don't know.
What do you think?
No, okay.
Because if Jesus was a Jewish person,
was
he would have
speaking
spoke
Aramaic,
he would have
okay,
spoken
go for it.
Aramaic. So in the Quran, when Allah,
Jesus, the author of the Quran is God, so he's talking about
Exactly.
right? But here's the problem. Here's
No one talking in the Quran apart from God.
yeah, but
So God
the
said-
Quran
Jesus
is
said-
repeating what Jesus would have said in Aramaic to the people when he spoke, because it quotes Jesus speaking to the people, but Allah translates that in Arabic. So you're saying because it's from God, therefore it's okay. But I
Exactly.
can make that same claim. I believe the Bible is God, so therefore it could be written in Greek.
Who?
But you will say no.
Fine,
We need the original Aramaic.
That's
But there's
the
a
point.
difference between
Right.
revealed to a prophet,
Exactly.
written,
Right.
recited, and someone
Is
coming
that
up saying,
is that
"My name-"
belief?
Listen,
of-
listen.
Wait, do
listen,
Christians?
listen,
If the
listen,
Christians believe the
listen.
Bible is inspired by
Right,
God,
Paul.
Yes, I
then
agree.
we can say the translation is accurate.
But it's not
You
the
will
author.
say
It's
no.
It's not really accurate.
Why?
No, so what's the point here? So
Right.
What's his name?
what's the original language that the Bible was inspired
Aramaic.
in? Aramaic.
Right.
So that exact Aramaic word,
Right.
we can say that is the word of God. Once it's translated,
Right.
then it's the basically
hold on a
a
second.
transcription of the narrator
Right.
himself,
So
or
then
the
and
translator.
I'm saying when Jesus spoke, that was his original words. When Allah recounts what Jesus said, that's a transcription of what Jesus spoke in his original language.
The author of the Bible, yeah, God. How many percentage the Bible that the God he's been talking in the Bible? I think it's about 20%.
Let's just go with that.
The author, yeah.
Let's no problem.
So for me,
Right.
the Quran and Muhammad Ahadith together similar to the Bible. So the Quran is
Right.
a pure God word,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and Ahadith are inspired by God.
Okay.
And the same in the
That's
Bible.
just a claim.
So the God,
Listen.
yeah, but do you believe that
If
the whole
it's
Bible is God pure word? It's not.
Inspired by
Everyone
God,
knows,
right?
the problem
Inspired by
But the
God,
problem is,
but
the problem is,
problem-
but the
listen,
problem
listen.
is, you are
Paperboy.
asking for the
Only
original
50%.
Aramaic
Exactly.
when the Quran doesn't even give Jesus' language. Abraham didn't speak Arabic,
God-
so everything is in Arabic. So you're happy with the translation from because it's from
We're
God.
We're not happy with the translation.
Why? You're saying the nonsense.
That's what's our
I will tell you the
perspective.
thing. I will tell you the things.
Right.
The problem is, if you had, for example, Jesus being the author of the gospel.
It's just a claim.
No, listen.
Right.
If you had Jesus
Already
being the
highlighted
author,
it.
listen,
Sorry.
being the author
Right.
of the gospel, like you have in the Old Testament when you say, and the Lord said this
Right.
to, for example, Ezekiel or whatever.
Right.
At least we can see that textually it makes sense. And then after the discussion whether has been provided by a prophet,
No,
that's another story.
you're taking it elsewhere.
No,
The
no, no,
claim
no, no.
was the original language. Was it in
Listen.
Jesus'
Listen,
language?
listen.
Whether he
Already in the
said
Bible you highlighted it in red.
the point
Everyone
was
knows
no,
it.
but the
But
point
highlighted
was
in red,
they, the
which
point
mean
the claim.
it's-
Let's
it's
go
the
back
God
to
or
the
Jesus
claim.
word.
The claim was because we have the Greek. Was that Jesus' languages? Because they said no. He said, how do you know it's accurate? So I then replied and said, well, if Jesus spoke in Aramaic and in the Quran Allah is speaking in Arabic, I can use that same logic. Your argument would be where it's from God. I can say the Bible's from God too. So then you don't have a
Which
recital.
one?
Why
Which
did you
one?
highlight
Which version?
that?
Which version?
We believe.
So we believe-
Which version? The Hafs Duri.
No. We
Yeah,
believe
right.
that the Quran
Yes.
came down in the Arabic language.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
That's
And
one.
I believe,
So
and Christians believe that Jesus spoke in Aramaic and it was translated to Greek. We can both.
because
No,
he
no,
was
let me
on
we
just
can
transmission.
we can play that game is what I'm saying.
Let's put that at the side. So
Right.
Quran was revealed in Arabic, and we have this. We claim this is the original version, and this is the only version.
Yeah.
Fine. So what
That-
you are claiming, let me
Alright, make the last
understand.
point and I'll wrap
Let
up.
me understand.
Yeah.
You are claiming that the Bible was
Inspired
inspired
by
by God.
Yes.
In which language?
In Aramaic.
Aramaic.
Yeah.
Okay. So that Aramaic version, that's the original version of the Bible.
No.
Okay.
No,
Why
when
not?
I
Why not?
say
Why
when I
not?
say inspired by God,
Yeah.
it means the people that were able to write it in God in Greek were inspired, so it was accurately translated.
What do you mean when you say it's
So inspired by God means the people who wrote. So for example, like you have hadith.
Yeah.
And someone wrote the hadith down at some point.
So no.
So I'm saying when the Bible was written into Greek, it was still inspired. So therefore, we don't have a problem with the translation.
No. So what happened with the Aramaic version?
There was no. What I'm saying is this: Jesus spoke.
Exactly.
And his disciples wrote down what he's saying.
Okay.
Then it was translated into Greek.
That's the main problem here. That's the main problem
Yeah,
here.
but I'm saying to you, so there wasn't a book that was written in Aramaic.
That's the main
I'm saying
problem.
it was spoken and then it was written
Aramaic,
down.
and then it was translated into
So
Greek.
I'm saying when Jesus was speaking.
The Quran is the Kalam of Allah, it's the word of God.
Yes.
So it's revelation too.
Yes.
So you don't judge, that is prime source material, revelation, that is
Right.
inception, right?
Yeah.
What he's saying is, the Quran is preserved in its original form.
No,
Which
that's
comes- wait,
that's not the argument. No, because you said about how do we. No, but I'll let you answer that. But let me just cut off because I'll let you respond. But he said, how do we know it's an accurate translation?
No.
That's what you said. I'll tell you why. Let me explain why. Because you said no, but you said about the letters, about the Quran. You said even in translating it can cause issues.
No, I'm saying if once you translate it, it's no longer the original version. That's what I'm saying. It's no longer the word of God. That's what I'm saying. Once you translate so if you send me a message saying hello, and then someone translates it and sends me hello in Arabic, that's not your message. Your message is just hello. You understand me?
His claim is taken on preservation. You're saying the Bible is preserved because of these guided counsels, right? These infallible counsels are guided by the Holy Spirit, correct?
Who guys?
That's what you're saying.
You say guys, infallible guys.
You're saying,
No,
when you translation,
guidance.
when the translation happens, I guess you're going to say, you believe in infallible counsels and they were guided by the Holy Spirit, right?
Yes.
So that's continued revelation.
Okay. What's the issue?
I'm asking you.
Let's just say yeah.
Say it's continued revelation, right?
Okay, go on.
Okay, cool. That's a big problem still.
Why?
Because then you can talk about the historical development of the Bible. You
Yeah,
can
but
talk about how the priests and stuff like that were subject to.
Yeah, but that's why I was talking about the variants within the. But I can do that with the Quran, but just keeping it simple.
He's not making that claim.
Okay.
His claim is simple.
Let me ask you a
issue
question.
with it.
Let me ask you a simple
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
The words in Ibn Masud's codex, were they from God?
They were from God through Gabriel to the prophet, from the prophet to.
Do we
Ibn
have
Mas'ud.
all the words of Ibn Masud's codex today?
No, we don't. We have.
Right.
He had it in his own mushaf.
You're right. No,
Yeah.
no problem. But the point is, words of Allah have gone missing.
Why do you just focus on Ibn Mas'ud?
No, because that's the one I remember. There's other ones.
Exactly. Even let's just go with that.
Do you understand how many hundreds of thousands of Muslims, Sahaba were
Yeah,
there?
but we don't have Ibn Masud's codex.
Why are you focusing on Ibn
Because
Mas'ud?
what I'm saying is that if there are different versions of the Quran,
No, there aren't.
you said Ibn Masud was different.
What is your
Ibn Mas'ud was different, but in the end he agreed that
No
there are
problem.
actually 140, but he didn't want to burn.
But even some of his verses were different, not just the surahs.
What is your claim?
Okay,
What is your claim?
I'll show it to you.
What's your claim? I'm guessing your claim is Ibn Masud had a different Quran, therefore there's a relation. No, what is your claim based on? Because
Wait.
he said Ibn Masud himself agreed that this is the Quran. I was saying.
Right.
So what is your claim based on when a person himself doesn't claim this? Your claim is of Ibn Masud who doesn't claim himself.
Hold
This
it.
is logical,
Look,
this.
I'm gonna do a wrap up,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna address this because in case I have to go. So essentially, because it's been filming him for a long time. No, I'm gonna answer you. So we'll do another discussion. But essentially,
Affect your fellow.
yeah, I'm just gonna do a wrap up because so essentially that first conversation with my good gentleman over here was essentially about the reliability of the Bible because it started off saying. I said Luke was an eyewitness, and he claims that in the beginning of Luke, he claims that the narrative from Luke was from eyewitnesses. So he was then questioning how can we find it reliable. And I said, when we look at the Bible, what makes the Bible more reliable is one, we take things by faith, but it also makes statements which outside of the Bible have been confirmed. For example, the crucifixion of Jesus. The Bible claims that Jesus was crucified. Let me just do my wrap up. I'll engage with you lot in a second. So we see people outside of the Bible writing about the crucifixion of Christ. So I said, can you do the same to the Quran? Show me statements from the Quran that can be verified outside of the Bible, the Quran,
I can.
to establish whether it's historically true. No problem. We'll have a conversation. I'm just doing a wrap up. So essentially, now people can decide for themselves who have watched this whole conversation whether he justified the good gentleman before, whether he made a positive argument or not. So on that conclusion, I'm going to wrap up, and we're going to go to these gentlemen, and we're going to go into the preservation of the Quran and the translation and the historical reliability, and I'm going to present evidence to you as to why I believe the claims that come through Islamic narrative are not wholly 100% true.